Senator Eric Schmitt from the Senate Armed Services Committee. So, Senator, we have this, we had a lot of even Democrats talking about how shocking the report was. I don't want to play the soundbite of Senator Blumenthal because it's too long, but he was really shocked when he was looking at the stuff that now we can see. And most shocking is that 30 minutes before the rally began, there was word of a suspicious guy with a rangefinder. 2 minutes before the shots were fired, they knew that there was a man on that roof that they had so much suspicion about. Why was Trump allowed to go on stage with all that happening?
I don't know, David. It's a parade of terribles that could have even been worse. Lack of communication, lack of planning, lack of preparation. The idea that that building was outside the perimeter is nuts. The fact that they didn't have communication systems that could talk to one another. You just heard from one of the police officers on the ground that the walkthrough was haphazard. So this was a disaster all the way around, and the president was within centimeters of losing his life. And there's also, I think, some questions that still need to be answered. This report was illuminating, but the president, President Trump is still being denied. So I just heard in the intro, he's still being denied particular assets for his protection. Does he have, the same number of Secret Service agents or the same caliber? Yes, but there's also technology that he is currently being denied. And what do we know? There was a second assassination attempt that, again, it boggles the mind how that perimeter wasn't secured. And we also know that Iran is actively trying to kill President Trump. So whatever their threat matrix is, they need to kind of come correct now, because this can't happen again. No. And sadly, it's happened twice.
Well, and of course, there's a lot of talk about what made it happen in the first place, about whether some of the rhetoric used against Donald Trump was part of that. We just had a pretty outrageous comment by a member of the cabinet, not just a TV personality, but a member of President Biden-Harris's cabinet, Secretary Gina Raimondo from Commerce. Let me play that and get your reaction. Roll it.
He was president, and I feared exactly what would happen. And I said the women of Rhode Island would be protected. That's real protection, stepping up and leading. What he says is the opposite. It's just another lie. How did we get here? Let's extinguish him for good. We have an answer. We have a remarkably talented candidate who is sincere, who's pragmatic, who's open. Let's just get it done.
And extinguish, you mean vote him out?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Vote him out. Banish him from American politics. Yes, just vote him out so he goes away, because it's just not where America, her new way forward, her vision. Let's turn the page on his chaos and craziness, vindictiveness, wrong-headed economic strategy, hatred towards women, and move forward.
She had to be prompted by the television personality to say what she meant by let's extinguish him for good. I mean, she was going to leave it at that. Isn't that beyond the pale?
It is. And by the way, then she went on with her Trump derangement syndrome to dehumanize the president after she had been corrected about that. But the language they use, David, we talk about threats to democracy. They've, tried to jail their political opponent. They continue to call him a threat to democracy. The second would-be assassin, was using that same language in his letter. So the Democrats, I think, need to pump the brakes on this rhetoric.
Senator Eric Schmitt, always a pleasure to see you, sir. Thank you for being here.
Take care.